Today I will be going over one of the most important topics in programming and also in web development, JSON. First, I will explain what is JSON, why we are using it for, and what is the syntax. Then, through the end of the video, I will have some live coding examples. So be sure you stick till the end. If you are in a restaurant, how would you communicate what exactly you want with the waiter? You will have the menu, right? The structured representation of what they are serving there. So you basically order from the menu. Just like that. JSON is a communication tool, a structured data communication tool through the internet, through the web. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. It is a lightweight, human-readable format for storing and exchanging data. JSON is widely used in web applications, APIs, and databases because it is easy to parse and works well with JavaScript. JSON looks similar to JavaScript objects, but there are key differences. JSON is always string-based format, meaning it needs to follow strict syntax rules. Look at here, every key value pair, and you can see that the strings are inside of the double quotes in a JSON object. In contrast, JavaScript objects are native to the language and do not require double quotes around the keys. And that's just a regular JavaScript objects with no keys. Now, JSON follows simple syntax rules. Keys and values must be inside of the double quotes. It supports data types like strings, numbers, booleans, arrays, objects, and null. It must always be properly structured to avoid errors. Now, to convert a JSON in JavaScript, we need to parse JSON strings into JavaScript objects and stringify JavaScript objects into JSON. Let's look at that example. Here you can see how we are parsing this JSON string we created in this line, and the vice versa is to stringifying an object into a JSON so we can have a JSON string. APIs often use JSON to send and receive data. Here's a simple fetch example. When we send a request to an API, we will get a response, of course, and this response is, since it's going to be a JSON string, first we need to parse it back into a JavaScript object, and that's done here by the JSON method. So we can use the data in our application. JSON is widely used in NoSQL databases like MongoDB. Here is a use case how we can use a JSON object in MongoDB to store data. And also in MySQL, a relational database can store data by using JSON, and in MySQL, JSON can be stored as a text column. And we can query JSON data like this, basically, in that format. This query is going to extract the username field from the JSON data column. Now let's get into VS Code and apply what we have just learned. I will first create a JSON file inside of my local folder. To do so, I need to create a data.json. We use the JSON extension. In data.json, I can create a person object like so. And many times, let's just here. Many times, the JSON data is going to be as array of objects. We can create an array around of that object and add some more. Okay. I think that's enough. And if we don't have any more key value pair to add to a JSON object, we can remove this comma and maybe one more. Okay. We have an array of 3 objects, a JSON. And now if I want to get this JSON into my script.js file, one of the ways is to apply the fetch API. I can just take the fetch method like so and place my name of the file, which is data.json. And then because this request is going to return a promise, one of the ways I can resolve is 3then method. And the response is going to be a JSON string. And if I want to use this data in my project, it has to be a JavaScript object. So this method is here parsing the JSON string into a JavaScript object. But since this also something which will take some time, it is going to return a promise. That's why I need another then to fetch the data. And now we can just console.log the data in that function. There it is, array of objects. And please pay attention here. Now I don't have the double quotation marks around of my strings anymore. Okay, because now I have converted it already into a JavaScript object. This is how we communicate with our local JSON file. What about the APIs? Well, we can, the same way, we can make a fetch request to an API, of course. So let's pick with one, which is the JSON placeholder API. This request again is going to return a promise, and the promise is resolved into a JSON, into a JavaScript object here. Now I need another then to catch this data, and there it is. This is our data from the API. And please again pay attention the format here. Let's just get the phone numbers, for example, for every user. How we can get that? Well, just through a for each loop. Here we can apply a for each loop. And actually, let's not get the I let's just go and console. I want to console.log the data again, and I saw the I think the address in a nested object here. You see, and the company also. What if I want the street names for every person? How can I get the data from that nested objects? Well, we will write a for each loop on the data. For each user, I want to console.log, not this. Let's console.log the user because it was a nested object address dot street. Okay. Now I can see only the street names for every user. Okay, now we have how we can create a JSON in our local project, and also how we can communicate with the API and get our JSON, so convert it into a JavaScript object. I hope the tutorial was helpful. If you like it, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps, and hope to see you in the next video.